Hello, viewers. Welcome to the Sensor 360 Investor Channel, where we use best practices from around the world and the companies we invest in and apply them to the investing process. Within our 360 view framework, this video is going to focus in on the markets. So we'll take a look at what's been happening. And we'll go through S&P 500 as the proxy for the market. We'll look at treasuries, sentiment indicators, earnings, economic calendar, what's coming up next week, and finish up with one stock idea to leave you with. As always, please read the disclaimer. This channel is not providing financial advice. Please pause, read through this, and continue. Okay, so without much further ado, let's begin the show. So we're going to begin with the economic calendar, and in the week upcoming, Friday is the notable day where we have CPI and jobless numbers coming out. And so although this doesn't reflect at a individual stock level, so one way to think of the economic reports is that these are like almost like earnings type of events, and key earnings reports can move the market in the short term. All right, so let's have a look at this, the daily. Just want to look at the kind of the breadth over the past 5 days and past 25 days. So if we look on the bullish side, we can see that there have been, in the past 25 days, 2 notable up days and 1 in the last 5. And you can see that that came on Friday. Incidentally, that was also designated as a follow-through day by Investors Business Daily, which marks a market in a new uptrend. And then on the sell side, we have 8 notable selling days on over the past 25 days, and 1 of them in the past week, which will probably be this one here. And the average is still below its 50-day moving average, which is something that needs to get fixed if we're going to make a move up. And then if we look at just over the past 25 days, there have been 4 heavier up days in terms of volume, and 8 days with down days with heavier volume. So we can see that overall, the past 25 days, we've had a kind of a bearish negative look. And although we ended up with a reasonably positive Friday, which is the one here. Zooming out to the long-term view, this is a weekly chart. We can see that the downtrend is still kind of in play. Although if we look at this pattern here, we're looking to maybe form a trading range, which will be between 4,200 and 3,600. So we'll see what happens over the next few days as this plays out, whether we are in sideways digestion, or we come down to the support zones level and then let the market test that zone, or we go and test the resistance zones above. And here we have the daily view, so a little bit clarity on the action. So we can see the October lows have stuck so far. We made a beeline and met the resistance, came off of that. Kind of stabilization period here, and kind of bounced above that, only to be met at a resistance point. So we'll see how this market works out in the next few days. But overall, major short-term trend is still down, and within that, we've potentially now got a sideways digestion in the works. If we zoom into the hourly chart, we can see on the hourly chart how the market was basically chopping back and forth for several days, and then on Friday made a beeline to the upside, but then finish as strong. And then we can also see that this moving average here, which acted as support back here, is potentially could be acting as resistance over here. Okay, on to securities then. On the 10-year, we can see the 10-year came down, market rallied, went up, market pulled back, and now the 10-year is pulling back in. And on the 20-year treasury bonds, We can see the bonds kind of bottomed out here in the short term, moved up, and then now trying to move back up and retest this resistance zone. So overall, still kind of in a downtrend, but if this low on the TLT can hold, they'll tell us something about short-term future direction. And then in terms of junk bonds, we can see that we're still in a risk-off environment. Nothing's really changed, although we are getting a little bit more. Here is fairly linear coming down, and now we're getting a little bit more gyration. If we look at the fundamental data, 10-year Treasury is 3.56, S&P 500 NAC yields are 4.94. And so we don't have large enough equity risk premium there to really wade in too deep into the markets. And then we can see up here that the bond yields are still supporting an inverted yield curve. And if we look at our comps, and we can see the 10-year and the 30-year both kind of come down, bounce, and now retreating again. The US dollar still in a downward trend, and we saw some stabilization here in the S&P. So again, that as we were making this up move here, the S&P 500 kind of stopped making newer lows down here. So we had a divergence starting to occur. And in this case, the S&P is holding a little bit stronger as the yields pulled it a tad. And so this is the call ratio 5-day average. The granularity is not as good on the timeline, but we can see that the recent 5-day average had peaked at 1.2, and that was obviously an area where the market kind of bottomed and then moved up. Now it's come back off 1.2 to 1, and it's been there a couple of times before pre-October and over here in the June timeframe. On the VIX, we can see that even though we had a very strong up day on Friday, the VIX kind of cooled off a little bit on the day. And we've seen that every time we've hit the 20s or below 20, has been a turning point, and the markets pull back in over here. Every time we've hit these zones in the 35 zone, it's marked a low in the markets. And if we look at the sentiment indicator, one thing here, so this, I mean, the long-term average is 31. The peak we had last year was a one-year bearish high was a 60.9. And so over the past 4 weeks, we can see that the bearishness is starting to creep back up, and we're a larger jump in mid-December, early December to mid-December over here. So that's starting to creep back up over there, and slightly on the market's not frothy, but certainly it's a little bit, it's more in the zone of manager stops than manage entries. And then a couple of earnings that are, so BlackRock is reporting next week. Nothing major to the upside here. And then Schwab actually reports the following week. I just put it in here because I want to check it a little later this week, and then I'll get a better read on what the prediction may be. And so earnings do kick off this week, so you'll see a lot of the financial stocks reporting, everything from JP Morgan, Bank of America, Wells Fargo. So all the big banks and a lot of the regional banks begin reporting. So now the financials kick off earnings season. So that could have a short-term impact on individual stocks and potentially even the market indexes themselves. Okay, so on to the one stock idea for the week. There were several options. I ended up with Amgen, since Amgen has been exhibiting some momentum strength, and we can see it kind of had quite the run up here, and as expected, was expecting a pullback into the 260 zone, which is exactly where it came into, and now it's starting to move back up. It's kind of got a couple of areas of resistance up here, a gap to contend with, but certainly Amgen looks pretty strong, and they have a pretty good product line. So this is our one stock idea for the week. And then there was a report last week, so I just left the gap. But 1126 on McKesson on a 4 week period was up actually from 1126 to when I pulled the data, it was up 1.49%. Okay, so that concludes the market update. It's a lot of it's a lot of just chop and slop and trying to find a direction. There's a lot of talk about recession still, and the bond yields are still inverted on the near term, and markets are kind of the Dow is up the strongest, and whereas we have the S&P and the Nasdaq still close to testing their October lows. So we have a little bit of divergence, and so there's no clarity in the market at the moment. So we just have to wait and see how they resolve over the next couple of months. Okay, so if you haven't subscribed, please do so. If you like this video, click thumbs up, share with your family and friends. If you're going to leave a comment, that wraps it up for this week's market update. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'll see you in the next video, and goodbye.